Hi everybody, welcome to my kitchen. Today I'm going to demonstrate what I call my master recipe for planning a week's worth of meals for a family of 4. First let me introduce you to my kitchen helpers. Over here is Shahara. She's going to be playing the role of a home cook and will do most of the prep work. This is Constanza Nagina, sitting over here, who will be contributing helpful comments along the way. Constanza is an experienced home cook and will no doubt be happy to share some of her vast knowledge with us today. For the canine perspective, we have Piper and Kaylee. Our goal today is to show, with a little planning and foresight, how the home cook can execute the longer time-consuming recipes on Sunday, leaving only 30 or 45 minutes more of cooking time to prepare a family meal each day of the week. Today, Shahar and I are going to show you the tasks that you'll need to do on a Sunday to get ready for the 5 easy dinner recipes you'll fix during the following week. We'll be brining chicken and then roasting it. We'll prep and roast an assortment of root vegetables, including some fingerling potatoes. We'll cook some dried flageolet beans, par-cook a mix of savory vegetables, and we'll prepare an easy and delicious condiment called caramelized onion marmalade. Of course, you'll need to do all the shopping the Saturday before, as well as soak the dry beans the late Saturday evening. And if you have extra time, you might try making the brine on Saturday, which will save time on Sunday. But it's easy to make, and today I'll show Shahar how to do that. We'll do that right now. Yes, Constanza, this should be enough chicken for a family of 4 for 5 days of chicken recipes. First thing you do is wash your hands, of course.
Especially if the dog's like this.
And especially if you have dogs running around. So this recipe the brine calls for 4 quarts of water, but we're going to just be cooking or melting the salt and sugar and honey together in 1 quart and then mixing it with cold water. So I've got this measure here. We're going to measure 1 quart of cold water. So we bring that to a boil, so we'll cover that and bring that to a boil. In the meantime, we've measured out sea salt, granulated sugar, and honey.
De ce se spune câinele prietenul cel mai bun al omului? De ce nu al femeii? Pentru că plac câinii?
I see your point, but everybody in the family should enjoy these recipes. Okay, the water is now boiling. So Shahara, why don't you add the salt, sugar, and honey to the water? Okay, I'll take care of those. Why don't you give that a good stir? And we'll stir that until it dissolves. It should only take a minute or so. Brine is great for chicken. What happens is, through osmosis, the chicken absorbs the water and the salt. And so it not only moistens the chicken, it also flavors it with salt. In fact, you have to remember not to salt the chicken after it's been brined because it might get too salty. No, it's perfect. Yeah, turn that off, and carefully, you want to use a hot pad. I'll take your whisk and carefully pour that into the bowl. Beautiful. Kaylee, you'd even like some of this, wouldn't you? Sugar water, yum. Okay, that's still a little warm, so I'm going to grab a couple ice cubes. 3 ice cubes, just big ones. And we'll just stir that in, and that should be nice and cool when it's time to receive the chicken. I'd like to go ahead and start adding chicken to the brine.
Sure, my hand.
Yeah. You know what Julia Child says? Sometimes your hands are the best tools in the kitchen. She was so wise. Okay, so now the brine is, the chicken will sit in the brine for an hour. And in the meantime, while the chicken is brining, we're going to be prepping some of the vegetables for the various recipes we're going to be cooking next week.
Dacă e dresat cum trebuie, chiar și bărbatul poate fi prietenul cel mai bun al femeii.
Actually, these recipes are very simple and require no advanced culinary training. I'm going to go ahead and put a cover on it. And once that comes to a boil, it simmers for about 15 to 18 minutes. After about 15 minutes, start checking to make sure they don't overcook. So we'll let that come to a boil. In the meantime, let's prepare a caramelized onion marmalade. And so what we need to do is cut up about 1 pound of yellow onion. Okay, we're waiting for the beans to boil. Are they boiling yet, Shahar? Just a second. In the meantime, we're going to be caramelizing the onions for the onion marmalade. So we've started heating an iron skillet here. We're going to crank it up to medium high. And could you add a half cup of actually a quarter cup of pure olive oil. You don't want to use extra virgin. Okay, this is boiling, so let's go ahead and turn that down to a simmer and take the cover off. Perfect. Okay, I'm going to give that a stir also. Just make sure nothing's sticking to the bottom. All right, go ahead and add about a quarter cup. You don't have to measure it, but just it's a pretty generous amount. It's about 4 tablespoons. A little bit more. That's good. Okay, now add the onions. And you want this to be pretty hot at the beginning because you want to build up some color. And then later on we're going to be deglazing the pan, which is going to bring up some of the burn-on bits and give the onions even more color. So go ahead and stir them up so that they get coated with the oil. That's perfect. Okay, now you want to let that sit so that they pick up some color. So we're just going to forget about that for a few minutes. And we're going to start prepping some of the vegetables for our roasted vegetables.
De ce nu poți găti cu pisicile? Mi-e plac pisicile. Pisicile nu ling oamenii.
No, Constanta, these are organically raised birds, really truly free-range chickens. Here's a selection of root vegetables, much more than you're going to need, but you'll find the recipe posted online. So let's go ahead and start prepping some of this. Let's start with the fennel. Have you ever cut fennel before?
No.
Okay, let me demonstrate first. You don't want to use these parts so that you can save some of the green tops for garnish. You want to cut it pretty much the whole top off and then cut the stem off. And then we're going to be cutting it into wedges, so I'll let you do that. But first let's wash it off. Could you rinse it with cold water? You want to leave the root intact. Let me just show you.
Yeah.
Because the root helps it stick together. If you were to cut this part out, then all the little pieces will fall apart. So, let's see there. Okay, no, that will be splitting actually. We'll reserve this for one of the other recipes. Let's go ahead and cut the kohlrabi. Yeah, that's the kohlrabi, exactly. Kohlrabi is in the cabbage family, but it grows a little bit above the ground. You can see that the root is here. It grows like this, and the leaves aren't really great for eating, but the kohlrabi is great because it stores for a long time in the fridge and can be eaten raw or cooked. Yes.
Always had it cooked for me. I've never cooked it myself.
Oh, yeah?
So
Okay.
I've never seen one.
I like it crunchy in a salad, and yeah. In fact, I put it in the crunchy vegetable salad recipe that you'll find on chefnurture.com. Cut it around, yeah, just follow the shape. That's perfect. Let's try it raw and see how you like it. You touchy?
It's subtle.
It's got a cabbage taste. It sort of tastes like
yeah.
you're eating kind of a full flavor cabbage. Okay, why don't you take a look at the onions? I have a feeling they might be getting some color on them.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Maybe.
give them a good stir. Try to turn it all over.
Ce gătești? Mâncare de câini? Miroase mâncare de câini.
Yes, Costanza, the aroma really gets the juices flowing, doesn't it? Okay, well, watch. I got a piece of foil. Why don't we trim off some of the tops? Let me just go ahead and show you. It's nice to include a little bit of the top when you were when you're displaying it. Just has a nicer look. And don't you get a little bit of water in your fingers and come and sprinkle it a little bit? Just a little bit. That's good. That gives a little bit of water to steam and makes it easier for peeling. Then we wrap these up tightly, airtight. Okay. Add a half cup of cold water. And measure out 2 teaspoons of balsamic vinegar. And we're going to turn that down to a simmer. I think you could just splash it in actually.
Yeah.
Yeah. You can't have too much balsamic vinegar. You can't have too much. That's good.
That's a lot.
That's fine. It's very sweet. And give that a good stir and scrape the bottom of the pan. There you go. Okay, now we're going to season the onion marmalade. And all it gets is some whole grain mustard, 3 teaspoons. And I like this whole grain mustard because the grain. You can add more salt if you need it. Mustard is very salty, so it's particularly important to taste it.
Câinii au devenit domesticiți pentru că mâncau din menul nostru. De-aia sunt azi aici. O să mâncem schimbul care gătești.
I agree, Costanza. We try to use all the vegetable trimmings either for dishes or we put it into the compost. Okay, the chicken has been briny for an hour, so we're going to throw it in the oven. First thing you want to do is dry the chicken really well. We're going to pat it dry. So we're going to take it out from the brine and set it on this paper towel. This is about 7.5 pounds of chicken. I bought it bone-in, and but separate, about half breast and leg and thigh combinations. So the yield is about 70% meat when you're done cooking, which ends up being about 4.5 ounces per person for the whole week. So there's plenty of chicken for everybody. So go ahead and pour it all out. And the brine cannot be reused, and so that needs to be dumped out. If you don't end up using all the brine, for example, if you're to do half the recipe, the brine keeps really well. Just to wrap it airtight and put it in the refrigerator, and you can use it for over 30 days. It'll still be good. Go ahead and put the rest of the chicken out and spread it all out. Okay, that's great. Now, I'll remind you not to salt the brine chicken, but we will put some black pepper on it. So why don't you grab the pepper grinder. Kitchen work is really a grind, isn't it, Shahar?
Yes.
I apologize. Okay, it's time to roast the chicken. We have the oven preheated to 450 degrees. All right. And that'll cook at 450 for 20 minutes. And then we'll check it and turn the oven down a little bit. Add a couple of tablespoons of olive oil. Excuse me. And while you're doing that, I'm going to season it while you're tossing. A little sea salt, some pepper, you toss it. And there we go. I'm going to spread them out flat on the basil sheet. You can just pour it out. And put that on the top shelf. Everything. Okay, I think that's probably done enough. Once you pour it out onto this plate, and we'll spread it out. You want it to cool off quickly. So what I do is let it sit and cool for a little bit, and then put it in the refrigerator so that it gets completely cold. You set them out here, and we'll give them, no, of course,
sorry.
just set the pan.
Sorry.
And let's see, see the squish.
Ah.
You want these to be cooked through pretty well because the recipe I'm using them for is smashed potatoes. And so they want to be nice and soft, so you can smash them and then we heat them up again in the pan.
Okay.
And that's one of the 5 recipes for the week. So those are ready. I think probably the beets are ready too. Let's pull those out. You need some tongs here. You have the right tool. Right down. Piper, off. Piper, it's too hot. It'll burn your head. Okay, great. The way to tell if a beet is done is partially by the timing. You want the 45 minutes should be all right for the 2 or 3 inch beet. You have those tongs?
Yeah.
Let me demonstrate this. Why don't you come over here and look in the sink and I'll show you. You run it under cold water. You can grab it. And you can see with just your fingers, the peel comes right off. That means that the beet is done. And you can take that out and let that cool. Hi Piper, are you here now? Come here, girl. Yeah, what do you think? Are these done yet? Are these vegetables done? It feels pretty hot, isn't it? Be careful. Well, these are going to be roasted once again. The peppers are done. Yeah, easy Piper. Hot. I think they need to cook a little bit longer, so
You want me to turn anything over?
I think we'll just turn the pan a little bit. There we go. Include that.
Paper. Don't
Wash your face, Piper.
Cine dà drumul la clip? Tot chestia asta e un spectacol de clip sau poneiul, tot ce știu e că de-abia respecte măcar.
Constanza, we really appreciated all your comments, and I hope that all the viewers will have learned from everything you had to say. Thank you for coming. As you can see, our roasted vegetables is just about finished. And we've taken out the chicken. As you can see, the chicken got nice and brown.
Yeah.
And it's almost all cooked. There is one very, very large breast here that has decided not to be done yet. So we can throw that in later and finish it up. And in many of the recipes, the chicken gets reheated again, so it'll be cooked by the time you're serving it to your family. But all the other chicken is done at 160, 165 degrees.